Hi, my name is Anthony Figurelli, Tony, to most people. But talking about Christmas Eve, it's usually Anthony. And I kind of have two different sides to my Christmas Eve memories growing up. Obviously, it was a completely unique experience for me, but as a child, my dad and my uncles and aunts would all gather at my grandmother's house, where she would give all of the uncles, her son-in-laws, as well as her one son, she would give them a bottle of anisette. That was the running joke with all of the uncles, that they got their bottle of anisette from Grandma. They had a lot of fun, and they taught me a lot about how the holidays are all about a family affair. Probably my biggest memory, my grandmother had a two-floor house, and I was upstairs in the guest bathroom, which happened to look out on the backyard. There was a little roof there, right off the bathroom, and there was a window right there. And I think I was probably 6, 7 years old, somewhere around there, and looked out the window, and as I was peeing, and my uncle Hip, that was his name, Uncle Hip, was on the roof knocking on the window in a Santa Claus outfit. Scared the piss out of me, really scared me to no end. I pissed all over the bathroom, ran downstairs crying, and kind of made the whole night for, I guess, everyone, all the adults. But for me, scared the hell out of me. Anyway, that was my big memory of being a kid in my grandmother's house on Christmas Eve. But more than anything, I think it taught me and all of my brothers and sisters and cousins, and taught us about just about the tradition. You know, it was always Grandma in the kitchen. She had her daughters in there helping her out all the time. All the daughters and my Uncle Mike, all of their husbands and my Uncle Mike were out in the dining room, just shooting the breeze, if you will. That was a big part of it right there. I remember things like my grandmother's bed being so high that I couldn't even get up on top of it because it was way up there, where everyone put their coats. I remember playing with my cousin Donnie, and not really playing with my two sisters or my younger brother, or my other cousins, but it was more Donnie, because Donnie was a few years older than me, and he was the guy that I looked up to. So I tended to drag myself around after Donnie everywhere he went. But lots of food, always lots of food. The tradition of the pizza started there, at my grandmother's house. I remember that. Lots of pasta, lots of fish, and then afterwards they would play penny poker, and that was a big thing. They would play penny poker, having their coffee and pies, whatever the pies were, or the cakes. whether it's Entenmann's or something that my aunt would make. And that was pretty much, that set the tone for our family, for the Palullo family. And ever since then, we would go to Christmas Eve in the Palullos. When my grandmother died, my sister Roseanne, who was living at the time, she was married, living in Montclair, volunteered to hold Christmas Eve at her house, and that's where the tradition really became a little bit more of ours. I was always the prodigal son. I was out of the house at 17, moved to Kansas, went to college in the Midwest, and when I would come home, it was always Anthony this, Anthony that, and and I took it all in. So my name is Anthony, my dad's name is Anthony, his dad's name was Anthony, so I'm basically Anthony the Third. I wanted my son's name to be Anthony, but I didn't marry an Italian wife, and so the best I could get was the initials, and his name is Andrew, not Anthony. I wanted him to be Anthony the Fourth, but enough about that royalty. When I came back from college, everybody was very much into their own thing. All of my cousins, my brothers and sisters, were off doing their own thing, having their life, and I was off doing my own thing, having my life. This was in the very early 70s. And then afterwards, I would still come home, even when I was working. I did a lot of working in the Midwest because of where I went to school, where I went to college. And when I'd come home, I would feel a little bit, almost to the point of being stuck up, because I was in this denial stage when it came to the family and family traditions, and I was learning so much about the outside world that I wanted to become this worldly person. And obviously I was into food at the time. I was opening restaurants and doing things that were normally seen in Gourmet Magazine or Food and Wine Magazine at the time. We were dealing with celebrity chefs and doing certain things, retail-wise and restaurant-wise, and I really thought I was hot stuff. So I would come home and I would blow that into everybody's face. I was too oblivious to realize it, but it didn't sit very well. But occasionally I'd have an uncle or an aunt, get me aside, ask me how I'm doing, and still treat me like little Anthony. Even though I was known as Tony at that point. And then when it came to be pizza night, the pizza time, everybody, the way that it worked in our house was that we would do the appetizers, and the appetizers would be spread out. Everything would be spread out completely. And as the guests arrived, we would put more and more appetizers out there. But it was really about the food, and I focused on the food more than anything. I didn't like making a lot of small talk. I wanted to help out with the food as much as I could. It was just where I was at with my life at the time. So I would focus on presentation of the appetizers, showing my mom or my aunts how certain things were displayed, and making it look as much like a magazine spread as possible, even though it was just curling up salami and cutting cheese a certain way. I felt like I was doing the work of a Michelin chef. and got a lot of oohs and ahs from the people in the family. But everybody enjoyed the appetizers. Everybody had a great time with the appetizers. We always had the fish. Some days, some years, we would have way more fish than we would on other years, but we always had at least fish, shrimp, mussels or clams of some sort, and always about 30, 35 people in there. So the tables would be strewn all over the dining room and into the hallway and into the living room. I focused on the kitchen, helping my sister, Roseanne, more than anything. Roseanne was, I stayed at her house for Christmas. I stayed at my other sister, Lori's house for Thanksgiving. Because Lori did Thanksgiving, Roseanne did Christmas, and Donnie did Easter. And that was pretty much the division of duties. And I didn't do anything because I was never living in that area. I was always away, either in Texas or wherever I was at the time. So I would come in like a cook for hire. And I would help with the prep the days before, most times with my mother, who would come over as well. And it was a good bonding situation between my mom, my sister Roseanne, my aunts, and me. Sometimes Lori would be there, but definitely for Thanksgiving, Lori would be there. And that was always a lot of fun. The day or two before Christmas Eve, because we planned the menu, we made the sauce, we made this, we made that. My mom would make the pizza dough. She'd make the pizza fritte dough, which was the zeppoli dough. I would focus on the appetizers. We always knew the pasta was going to be the main course right there. All of my cousins asked me if I were cooking the pasta to make sure that it's not cooked into mush and that it was a little bit al dente. That was always a big thing because the older generation just loved it mushy pasta. It's just the way it was. But the meatballs, the sausage, the braciole, all of the meats, everything was done in the days leading up to Christmas Eve and on the day of Christmas Eve. And I was very much a big part of that. I would make cioppino sometimes. Sometimes I would just focus on making the sauce, or my mom would make the sauce and I'd make sure that, everything looked good from there. But I was the designated prep cook when it came time to put the pasta in, when it came time to man the ovens. I was the guy that basically was at the stove. Only because I was 6'4" and I'm big, and I acted like I belonged there. I really didn't, but I acted like I did. And I think it was fun for my aunts to kind of allow me to be that big shot for that. I'm sure that they laughed with their husbands, and my mom and dad laughed as well late at night, thinking about how much of a chooch I was from that standpoint. But that was fun. And then obviously pizza night came, and my mom would break out the pizza. She was always the pizza maker. My sister Lori was very much a pizza maker as well. She liked to make beautiful pies. She really liked the thin pies. I would show off my rolling skills and everything that I've learned in the year prior to the last Christmas, where I would do like caramelized onions and fontina cheese. And oh my God, we had to have fontina cheese because the nuttiness of the fontina and the sweetness of the onions go so well together, and then just a little touch of parsley on top, and oh my God, isn't this a beautiful pizza? And everybody loved it, and really and truly, everybody sat around. My sister had a very big kitchen table that was both. It was like a big chef's table, but it was nothing but hardwood top, and so you could chop on it. You could do anything to it. You could seat 8 people around it, and still have room for the cook behind. It was a great kitchen to cook in and to have for big holidays. And I would plant myself behind there, and I was just on stage most of the time. My cousin Donnie would laugh at me, my sisters would laugh at me, my uncle, my dad, they'd all, look at the big chooch over here, thinking he knows what he's doing and everything like that. And I would just play up to all of the people that wanted to listen to me. So, and that was a big part of it right there. Christmas Eve was also a time in the early days when we would all go to midnight mass. As we got older and the kids we didn't do that as much anymore. But we still had some that went to midnight mass. But then the big time was about the presents, handing out the presents. My dad took big pleasure in that cue ball. We actually even had a little hat with a little Santa hat with his name on it, cue ball. I remember that, and he would just pass out all the presents that were under the tree and watch everybody, all the kids opening up their presents. And we as the teenagers and the early 20-year-olds would kind of sit around and still be engaged with it, loving it, but having more fun from watching the kids, my son Andrew and my nephews and nieces, having a blast opening their presents. And that was really what made the night more than anything. The other part of that was my Aunt Mary was a master pie maker. She would make pies, like unbelievable pies. Coconut cream, banana cream, chocolate cream. She was just coconut custard. She was just great. And she always made pies. We always had rolls from Nicola's. We had to get our rolls from one place, and that was in the, for the appetizers and the sausage and peppers and all the things that we were going to eat with the bread on there. It was just a great day, a magical day with 30, 35, 40 people. Sometimes people from outside the family would be there. It's where we first met Alan, my brother-in-law, for many years now. It's where we first met Robert, Roseanne's first husband. We met many people there. Diane's friend, Patty, was first met there. I don't know if I ever brought anyone. I might have brought one or two girls home at that point, but I was more into helping out. But it was just, everybody had a great time, just wonderful feelings and feelings of closeness. And it's after our parents died, my Uncle Hip and my Aunt Mary and my Uncle Mike and my Aunt Marie and my mom and my dad, after they died, we tried to keep it on, but we couldn't because we were a little bit more removed from that. But it's still a great holiday, and I always remember the day after Christmas was usually a day that was spent strictly with your your own family. You're not with the extended family, but just with your brothers, sisters, mother, father. And that was it. Staying at Roseanne's house on Christmas Eve, I was always there for Christmas morning to see the kids opening their presents, and that was always a lot of fun. My mom would stay over when she was alive, and that was always fun to have her there. And it sort of rolled into a nice little tradition of a calmer Christmas day. We would normally eat a roast of some sort, or some whether it's a ham or whether it was a veal or pork or something, some big piece of meat. We'd always have more pasta, whether it was ricotta cheese pasta, lasagna, or ravioli. But it was a good day to be with your family. It usually ended about 5, 6 o'clock because the night before usually ended between 12 and 1, and everybody pretty much went to sleep, woke up with their families, opened presents, and then came back to their respective houses from that standpoint. So Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, I remember it fondly. I love it. I love that I was brought up in it. I don't love that it's not as prevalent as it used to be, but it's sort of what happens, you know. I do know that the sharing of love and the sharing of presents and the sharing of food and the sharing of hugging and kissing and all of that is such a big part of our family. It's everything that comes together with our family, whether it's some sort of argument that happened either the night before, the next day. There's a lot of yelling, a lot of shouting. We don't play cards anymore. We do karaoke. We have some fun. It's a magic time, man. And I'm really glad that Jake and Andrew and Josh and Jeffrey and Hillary and Zachary and Jason have all encountered this. And I'm glad that they got to appreciate and experience what it really meant, because I miss it. I miss it a lot. And I miss my mom, miss my dad, miss my uncles and aunts, and I miss a lot of that time. So Merry Christmas. So a little addendum to what I just said. You know, I was brought up in a very, very Italian family. I married a Norwegian girl who was not, she was a Midwest, born and raised. The last name was Hansen. Really didn't understand a whole lot about the Italian culture, and I was the first Italian into their family, and so it was a little bit of a culture shock for me from my perspective as I became a young husband and a young father, having to balance this very American lifestyle in Houston, Texas and Dallas, Texas, with this very Italian-American lifestyle in New Jersey. I think in some respects, it really gave me a lot of pleasure to bring Andrew back into that environment because it showed who I was and who I ended up becoming because of that environment. I wanted him to meet my grandmother, my mom, my dad, all of my cousins, and all of their kids. And I think he's very, very well in tune with a lot of those guys right now. But I can tell you that the difference between the two cultures and the two holidays was very distinct. I became sort of a little satellite version of the Figurelli slash Palullo slash Di Geronimo Christmas celebration. And when we were in Texas, and it was nowhere near like it really was when we were home. And still to this day, Andrew and I will celebrate, will understand and really appreciate a lot of what we're doing with the remembering all about the times of Christmas Eve. And we really didn't have a lot of fighting going on. There was a lot of fighting on the Figurelli side, but because they were much more passionate about things. The Palullo side was very calm, comparatively speaking, to the Figurelli side. The Figurelli side was very combative. And I remember my dad, having many, many arguments with his brother and his brothers and sisters over the phone, in person, but they loved each other so much, and they were the passion group right there. The Palullos were very passionate, but it was more about a loving passion than it was about being a bully. So I got a lot of my directness and a lot of who I became from the Figurelli side, but all of my memories and what I got from the Palullo side really came from these family get-togethers, these family holidays. It was always the most important part of our year, was getting together as a family. And that just made me who I am today, more than anything. And I know my dad felt that, and I know my mom felt that, and I know all of my cousins felt that, and I know my sisters, Roseanne and Lori, and my brother Tom, all felt that as well. Tom was a little bit more removed from a lot of the memories because he was a lot younger than all of us, but still he relates and is very much like that as well. So thanks for asking about this. This was a good little project. Love you.